Afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony. I'm the Managing Partner for Great Place to Work Philippines. Welcome to the second session of our two-part webinar series, Why Your Employer Brand Matters in Times of Transition. Before we begin, here are some gentle reminders so we can get the most from this session. For a good audio experience, everyone's microphones are muted, but we do want to engage with you. So later on, we'll have a chance for you to ask your questions towards the end of the session. But if you do have any question at any point in time, please share it through the chat box. The session will be recorded for future playback. A video copy will be available at Great Place to Work Philippines website for you to view and to share with your friends. 2 weeks ago, in the first session, we had the honor of having Cathy Ileto share her personal journey on being an ambassador of employer branding. Today, I'm very excited as we have a case study and a success story on how Ingram Micro built an employer brand that works. Before we proceed to an engaging dialogue with our guest, Sam White, allow me to introduce Great Place to Work. I love our social mission. At Great Place to Work, every client interaction is important to us because it is an opportunity for us to build a better world by helping organizations become great places to work for all. So Great Place to Work is a global authority on workplace culture. We are the data scientists behind the Fortune 100 Best Companies to Work For list since 1998. Using our rigorous methodology, we gather and evaluate high-trust, high-performance workplace cultures. And every year, we conduct the world's largest study of workplace excellence and hold the gold standard benchmark with over 140 best workplaces lists published globally. Great Place to Work has presence in over 90 countries. So what is it that we do? What do we provide our clients? Business leaders, research institutions, and public all rely on Great Place to Work trust model as a definitive standard on what it means to be a great workplace. Through our certification program, our best workplaces lists, and our culture consulting services, thousands of organizations each year use our model to assess their workplace and benchmark themselves against the best workplaces in the world. Pricing, Great Place to Work proprietary survey and reporting platform, is the only employee experience platform built on 30 years of research, proven to help you quantify your organizational culture, measure employee engagement, and drive meaningful impact with your business and people. Being Great Place to Work certified is proven to help organizations to attract and retain top talents, to elevate your employer brand to one that is fun and exciting and provides a sense of purpose to all employees. Our clients also appreciate the partnership of journeying together with us in building their great company culture. So I've been saying the word great place to work or great workplace, but what does that really mean? We define a great workplace as one wherein you trust the people that you work for, have pride in what you do, and enjoy the people that you work with. And to determine whether an organization is a great workplace, we use our Trust Index employee survey, where we look into the quality of key relationships in your organization. In any organizations, there are 3 key relationships. Those are your relationship with your manager, your relationship with your colleagues or your peers, and your relationship with your job itself. And a great workplace is one that has these 5 dimensions: credibility, respect, fairness, pride, and camaraderie. At Great Place to Work, we believe that building a strong employer brand starts from within. It is creating a workplace culture where your employees experience what is articulated in your employee promise or your employee value proposition. And our 30 years of research shows that a great workplace culture is one that is anchored in trust, where your employees experience credibility, pride, and fairness in their relationship with their management. They enjoy camaraderie with their colleagues and have a sense of pride for being a part of your organizations, the work that they do, and the impact that they have in the community. So ultimately, it is the voice of your employees that determine if your organization is a great workplace, which is also to say that it is your employee experience that validates your employer brand. So before I introduce our guest, I want to invite you to watch this short video that will give us a glimpse of the great workplace culture at Ingram Micro.
When I think about what makes Ingram Micro a great place to work, I think about number one, our incredible associates of Ingram Micro Philippines. I think our associates have a certain level of pride in their work and how they represent our organization, and they're truly our ambassadors to Ingram Micro. The talent that they bring to work every day with passion and integrity, and making sure that they're taking care of the people that we support around the globe.
Our relentless drive on innovation and continuously looking for better ways of doing things and translating all these ideas into action to create an atmosphere of fun, excitement, and learning. That makes for a great place to work.
Been working with Ingram Micro for 5 years, and it's still a joy to go to work. I think it's the people and the culture that makes it a great place to work. Your leaders and your teammates are there to help you and assist you by giving you the necessary tools. It really is the teamwork of people with different personalities, treating each other with respect, and having one mindset of achieving the goal.
What makes Ingram Micro a great place to work with? As for me, is they know how to take care and love of their people. And also, this organization gives us the potential and the opportunity to leverage our skills and talents that makes us awesome today.
I think Ingram Micro Philippines is a great place to work because it's made up of associates that are never settling. They're always looking for new and better ways to do things. We are always looking to be more and to do more.
Your performance testimony is part of this greatness.
We have a dynamic and robust people programs initiative. We always want to make sure that we're improving and adapting to our associates' needs.
We are privileged to have with us today Sam White, HR Director for Ingram Micro Philippines. With Sam's impressive CV that you see on the screen, allow me to introduce Sam by highlighting some points that struck me about him. So Sam is a true partner in advancing our Great Place to Work mission of building a better Philippines by creating great places to work for all in our country. He has spent nearly 15 years of his career leading HR departments in the Philippines, which means that Sam has impacted organizations and thousands of their employees with his strategic HR mindset and expertise. In our last webinar, we spoke about the important roles of HR, marketing, and communications in building a strong employer brand. To me, that is Sam rolled into one. Sam provides people strategies by leveraging on effective communication, creating highly creative and fun campaigns, which we will see in a while. With all his personal accolades, my interactions with Sam also tell me that he is a people person, someone who leads with his heart. While he's a key person behind Ingram Micro's Great Place to Work certification and being named one of the Philippines' best workplaces for 2 consecutive years, Sam is also someone that Ingram Micro associates would have spent fun moments with. So I've personally seen him on the stage during event at the office, or even doing virtual video okay during remote work setup. So truly, I'm happy and excited to have Sam White with us, as he has this wealth of knowledge and experience that we can all learn from today. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Tony.
I'm really happy to have you here with us today. Thank you so much. Ingram Micro's journey is also Great Place to Work Philippines journey, because we've journeyed with you from Great Place to Work Philippines inception, if you remember that, way back 2019. So Sam, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this, and it's nice to see you, and welcome everyone who's joining today.
Sam, there are a lot of things that we're going to talk about going through Ingram Micro's journey. So if you don't mind, let's begin. I'll start with my first question.
We're good.
So one of the characteristics of a great workplace is having a strong employer brand, right? So Sam, tell us, who is Ingram Micro and what is your employer brand?
Okay, so for those who may not know who Ingram Micro is, we help businesses fully realize the promise of technology, which is one of our brand statements. We help them maximize value from technology that they make or sell or even use. And with our global infrastructure at Ingram Micro, we focus on cloud, mobility, technology lifecycle, supply chain, and technology solutions, all enabling our partners to operate more efficiently and successfully around the globe, and also in the markets that they serve. And from a human capital perspective, which is more near and dear to my heart, we have a saying that we deliver world-class, globally aligned people and process to ensure the right people in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and doing it the right way to support our overall Ingram Micro organization.
So it really starts with, like you said, people strategy that's close to your heart. And I know that one of the things that you have in your people strategy is that I am engaged. So can you tell us more about this?
Yes, so even prior back to joining Ingram Micro, I did some consulting work. I've been in human resources for nearly 30 years, as I try to date myself here. I've researched many different sources and trying to find what are the components of these high-performing organizations, best practice companies, if you will, who had strong employee brand and a strong culture that was reinforced. And I took that research that I've been doing for a few years and applied that in Ingram Micro Philippines. And in 2018, we launched the I Am Engaged Human Capital Strategy, which again focuses on creating a culture of workplace excellence. And in that, we took these components, or these drivers, as we call them, that helps to influence culture and establish that workplace excellence. So, and as you can see here, we had a huge branding campaign. So anytime our associates see these keys, they know that this has to do with our engagement strategy and our human capital programs for corporate citizenship, rewards and recognition, career growth and development, diversity and inclusion, health and wellness, and overall organizational governance.
Thanks for sharing that, Sam. We are only about like 5 minutes into starting this webinar, and I think I already have my first key takeaway, and that is creating your brand strategy, your people strategy really takes that conscious effort. Like you said it, you research about this even prior to joining Ingram Micro. And I remember in one of the meetings we had, you also shared that it was a 3-year journey that you embarked on, culminating to your partnership with Great Place to Work to validate the great workplace culture that you have built at Ingram Micro. So it was really a 3-year journey prior. And so Ingram Micro and Great Place to Work Philippines partnership, it started in November 2019, if you remember that. What factors led to your decisions, Sam, to be Great Place to Work certified during that time?
Yeah, I think, going back to even some of the, like you said, some of the things that we even did pre-engaging with you guys. So our vision then was to make sure that we have critical programs that increase or benefit our sustainable engagement. And this I Am Engaged platform was the way to do that in order to become what we would call an employer of choice, or even unofficially recognized as a great place to work. And then when we heard that Great Place to Work was coming and our Philippines office was being established in 2019, we felt that our 2 to 3 year journey of kind of establishing those programs were at the right place in the right time, that it would be a good way to measure the successes. I think the other thing is what we had done, not only to set up the programs, but I had been part of some studies that had did some benchmarking and some surveys with tens of thousands of employees in this particular industry, either the BPO, shared services, and captive industry, and was 72% of that audience defined engagement as pizza parties and raffles and year-end holiday parties and fun at work type activities, right?
Yeah.
And so another critical part, as we were building these programs, was that we wanted to re-educate our associates on what engagement really is and align that. And so not only what it is, but also what it is not. And we use those 6 drivers to help deliver that message so that employees can see engagement and culture on a day-to-day basis, not just tied to certain events.
I like that. I like what you said, because it is so true, right? I can imagine that 20 years back when I was still like my first job, and employee engagement was really about setting up basketball activities, Christmas parties, being part of the band, like in the Filipino culture, like you have to sing and dance and present, and that is called engagement. But I like what you did, like you're really educating your employees, not just the leadership team, on what engagement is really about. It's more than that. It's more than that. Those activities, it is the day-to-day experience that your employees have. And Sam, in 2 months' time of engaging with Great Place to Work, Ingram Micro was an officially Great Place to Work certified. You were certified on your first engagement with us, and it's really a testimony of the great employee experience you have created with your I Am Engaged strategy. How was it like receiving your first Great Place to Work certification? Was it something that you expected, honestly?
Honestly, we're talking about Great Place to Work, and I will say, and even my team will say, in our fellow leadership team, that I felt we were at the right spot. So I felt we had a good chance. Was I guaranteed? No, but I did feel we had a good chance. What I was not counting on, even though it was our first time, and I knew that there was some level of, risk in that, but I did feel confident that our programs and our associates had responded well enough that I thought we had a good chance. What I wasn't so sure about was best workplace, which we'll talk about soon.
Yeah, soon. Hold it right there. And yes, my team and I, we had that opportunity to meet with your senior leaders and also with your colleagues way back in January 2020. Personally, I would never forget that, because that was my last face-to-face client presentation in Manila at the onset of COVID-19. But then of course, that was also memorable, having met with your colleagues and presenting the key insights from the survey findings, giving some recommendations and some best practice sharing and what else we can do to make Ingram Micro an even better place to work. I remember that being a very interactive session, and we had some fun after that. But from that session, Sam, and from the survey findings, can you share what actions did you take from then on?
Yeah, so what we did not want to happen is we did not want the Great Place to Work results to kind of be a separate initiative and distract from our overall strategy. So what we did was we used our Great Place to Work findings, which was a whole different level of information and insight that we did not have before. So we took that and married that up with our internal engagement survey process, and also with some of the things that we were doing around our diversity, equity, and inclusion listening sessions. Because there was a lot of common themes in that, and Great Place to Work was able to kind of drill down deeper. So we kind of married that together as far as our approach. And there were great findings. As wonderful as it is to get the recognition and the certification, it's just as important to get the results and the data and the feedback to see where we have opportunities, what we need to continue to reinforce. And there's and I think you're showing a slide of some of our focus areas. So we wanted to work on retention. We had very good retention overall, but again, we can always do better. And we had an overall 13% increase. When you look from a retention category, we were running about 89 to 90% annualized, and that's full attrition or retention. So we don't take anything out of that number. I think one of the areas that we spotlighted that tended to be a little bit more eye-opening was around justice and fairness. There is some great information on that indicator in the Great Place to Work results. And it was a good highlight for us. And it made us look deeper in our diversity and inclusion efforts. And while we feel that our organization, our leadership, our programs and practices are just and fair, there was a whole different dimension that we were getting from our results around transparency and communication, which was a big opportunity for improvement. And that's an area that we are continuing to focus on. It's not that we're not just or fair in the practices, but from an employee perspective and perception, are we transparent? Are we candid? Do they have the insight? So we're working on that. Additionally, respect and pride. And while we've had great achievements in Ingram Micro with our diversity and inclusion journey, one of the elements that we also saw was how our Manila associates are connecting with the greater global organization. And there's many distractors through that, whether it's time zones, cultural differences, geographical relationship differences. And we felt that there was a sense of pride and acknowledgement that was missing in that respect and pride element when we looked at ourselves on a global. And we've been able to put some great programs in place to share that awareness and celebrate our Filipino culture, who we are as a talent and how we're contributing. We even launched a series called I Am Ingram Micro GBS, which highlights the talent in our shared services centers, which are based in Manila and Sofia, which highlights how we are the same and different at the same time, and how we contribute to the bigger organization, how we take pride in our work as part of the bigger Ingram Micro. And I think the last one is around our connectedness. So we took great feedback from this in our Great Place to Work and our engagement results, and making sure that we are connecting more with our people, especially after COVID-19 hit, where we all had to go into work from home and remote working. And we've increased our town hall frequencies. We've been much more transparent and frequent in our social media campaigns, and even deployed additional resources with our Microsoft Teams and Yammer groups, our employee resource groups, and things like that.
So there's one question from the audience now. Can you share how many employees did you have at that point in time, like when you did this focus areas and action plans?
So at that point, we pretty much maintained the same general number. So we're between 2,400, 2,500 employees, and pre-COVID and post-COVID. So it's just under 2,500.
Thanks for sharing those action plans. There are two things that I want to highlight that you did. Like one, of course, very obvious, is that you took action. You didn't just stay relaxed after getting the certification, but you really took it seriously. And for me as a consultant, that's one thing that really gives that sense of purpose in the work that we do. It's whenever clients act on the survey that we share. And for me personally, I see that as an opportunity to make a difference and impact the lives of your employees, like even faceless people that we have not met. And this is what exactly Ingram Micro did. And we appreciate that you responded to the survey findings and did not just stop the moment that you received your certification.
Yes.
Second thing that you did that I want to highlight is that, even in our initial conversations, you said that you do have your internal survey, but despite that, and you do your pulse surveys as well. Despite that, you still took Great Place to Work survey, seriously. And what I really wanted to highlight is that you merged the survey responses that you got. You took both perspectives, and that's how you planned your actions accordingly. You didn't took it, in silo, but really, saw it as two different lens, if I may, so that you can have a more holistic view of what your people are saying and experiencing in the organization. I think that's one best practice that I want to highlight in this session.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing is we didn't want it to look kind of dysfunctional or segregated. There's a lot of common themes, and everyone, I'm sure everyone on this webinar, everyone has resource constraints, and the last thing we wanted to do is put a separate initiative that's working on the same thing. So it was all about efficiency and really telling the whole story by doing that approach.
Yeah, I agree. And so one of the actions you took was to launch the Step into Greatness campaign. And this is what I was saying earlier when I was introducing you. You do have a way of creating those fun, exciting campaigns. And so Step into Greatness campaign, tell us more about this.
So we launched Step Into Greatness back in 2020, which after we got our Great Place to Work certification and the great news. And because we wanted our associates, our existing associates, plus our future or potential associates to see what really makes Ingram Micro a great place to work. There were so many ways that we can attract new talent that companies use to inspire employees to be their best. But seeing greatness in every aspect of an employee life cycle, I think, is the best way to showcase that, both through our language and through our visuals. It was a very visible internal and external campaign. We launched it all across our internal platforms, our branding, our social media, and we even continue to this day to have sustaining activities that help through the year with telling our stories of greatness, such as our greatness in learning, our greatness in wellness, greatness in innovation, social responsibility, inclusion, and we tag that element to make sure that our employees truly feel they're part of a great organization.
Yeah, so you shared earlier people's strategy, I am engaged, and then around it there you have that campaign like Step Into Greatness. I think one thing that I want to highlight here is how your people programs, your people practices are very well integrated to the strategy that you have, and that makes it really, very well knit. And at the same time, using your creativity, and I know you do have a team with you working on this, that really makes it very attractive, not just for your employees, but also for outsiders. Like I myself, I really enjoy seeing all the posters that you produce and post in your social media. Sam, the video that we showed earlier, if you remember, that was done prior to COVID, that gave us a glimpse of how it is like to work at Ingram Micro, right? But then COVID happened. How did you respond to the challenges at the onset of the pandemic?
So I would say, Ingram Micro and many of our other, fellow companies in the Philippines, both in this industry and outside this industry, I think we all did the best we could with an unprecedented shutdown in Metro Manila and actually across the whole country and then globally. But, I think the biggest message we wanted to make sure is that we wanted to keep our entire workforce enabled and try to get us as quickly as possible to be back up to speed and have 100% business resumption as soon as possible. So like many other companies, nothing special with us. We did a lot of tactical things such as deploying 2,000 laptops in just a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, right? Countless monitors and peripherals and making sure that people had stable internet and boosting some of those benefit programs, with internet subsidies and all those types of things. And a lot of companies did that. But we also wanted to make sure that we took some time and adjusting those few weeks to make sure that remote environment was critical. One of the things I will say is Ingram Micro as a global organization made a very strong commitment to its employees in the beginning of this, in saying that the welfare of the people was its most important focus, and that employees would not lose their jobs because of this. And we would do other things through efficiencies and other types of internal programs to make sure that employees kept their job, kept their paychecks, kept their benefits. And I think that was the strongest message that we could share with our employees, that we got your back. We're going to make sure you stay whole through this, which was very easy message for our associates to hear.
I remember those times. Those were crunch times. I remember connecting with you, trying to find a meeting with you and your team, with Nichi, at the onset of the pandemic. One time we were speaking and you deployed around 200 laptops, monitors at that time. And the next week, second week that we spoke, you already sent out all 2,000 units. And it really takes that leadership decision, a conscious decision to put your people first. And that's what Ingram Micro did. So COVID-19 pandemic was definitely a huge curveball for Ingram Micro, and you've responded very well. In May 2020, right amidst all these challenges, Ingram Micro was then named one of the Philippines' best workplaces in Great Place to Work Philippines inaugural list.
Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday. So in fact, I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth when I got the call.
Yep. I remember that, Sam. I remember that time that we called you to share that embargoed news. And it was, I would say, I would describe it really as a sweet, emotional moment.
Yeah, it's like I said, we've had a very strong feeling that we were ready for Great Place to Work. We were hoping that we would get a chance for Best Workplace. And then when I got the call, I mean, like I said, in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, had to quickly rinse my mouth. And as you were delivering the message, so I wouldn't have tears of excitement and toothpaste at the same time. So.
Yeah, I remember doing that video call because we wanted to see your expression, but then you said you had to switch off the video. But yeah, it was very nice, right? Like I remember because clearly because we were talking about deploying the laptops and then finding a time to speak and then finally breaking that embargoed good news to you. Awesome. Now that we are 1 year into the pandemic, right? How is it like to work at Ingram Micro? And most importantly, how do you live by Ingram Micro's employer promise during these trying times? Is there anything that you changed or did differently?
Yeah, I mean, I will go back to when we announced the 2021 results. We had our CEO Alain Monnier to actually deliver a message on behalf of Ingram Micro. And I'll go back to what he said. He said the culture that we had as an organization pre-pandemic is the same culture that got us through the duration of the pandemic and where we are today. And it's not just about the place that we work at, it's the people that unifies our culture. It's not about the office, it's not about the environment, it's about the people and how we treat each other. And if you think about, the question of, are we sustaining, are we doing things differently? Culture is something that can be influenced through many different behaviors and actions, right? And I think the accountability of our associates for their work was something that really rang through because of this pandemic. They were just as concerned as leadership was about taking care of their clients and their partners around the globe. We had associates, as we were deploying, hardware and equipment that were using their personal, iPads and cell phones just to keep clients whole and intact. And so we've been a little bit more creative and imaginative in our approach to work during this pandemic. And I think the other thing that I would highlight was we had been so used, and I think this applies to not only us, but many companies, we were so used to the comfort zone or the stability of an office environment. And then one of the things that I think was unnoticed because it was just part of the day is when you're in an office environment, leaders, employees, et cetera, you have that line of sight. So everything's visible, everything's right in front of you. It's very hard to hide anything. And when we went 100% virtual, which we are still 100% virtual in Philippines, all 2,500 of us are still working from home. That line of sight is not there anymore. And there was a whole different level of trust that a lot of times you talk from a company perspective, how people trust their leaders. The leaders had to trust the employees. And that was a very touching and very eye-opening part of the culture that we really hadn't seen exhibited. That trust became now two ways to take care of the business, take care of the customers. That I think that again, it's all about this big experience and how it impacted us as an organization.
Yeah, there really is a shift in the level of trust and respect in the organization. Given the shift from virtual, physical work setup moving to virtual, like it's not a matter of sight anymore, but it really is a matter of trust. And just tying this back to our topic, which is employer branding, we've also established this 2 weeks ago that your employer brand is really your employee experience. And that's what I've been hearing from you, Sam. But then one thing that I also heard from you is that employer brand is actually your employee experience, and your employee experience is how you treat your people. And if you treat your people well, if you put them just like how you've experienced Ingram Micro during the pandemic, even now that we are still right into it, that increase the accountability that your employees are showing towards the organization. So Sam, again, you've mentioned that the importance of trust, right? And that's one thing that we learned during the pandemic, which we also featured in our 2021 Insights report, is the importance of having that active communication in building trust in a virtual world. Tell us more. How did you establish this at Ingram Micro?
Yeah, I think, again, the environment was different that we mentioned, right? And so we were in a remote work setup. And as we, I think the things that we counted on before changed and had to change. Before the associates could feel that connection, it was, we needed to work harder to establish different ways of communicating, different ways of engaging, not only with each other, but with peers, to leaders, to partners around the globe. And I think there's a lot of things that we've done to support those through different channels of communication. I think I mentioned earlier through our communication campaigns, more frequent town halls. We also promoted a much more focused programs and attention on our welfare, employee welfare from a health and wellness perspective, both physical, mental, social health, everything. So we looked at all aspects of the health scale. And, I think that we've done a pretty good job of that, refocusing the attention and the efforts. Just as we release pulse surveys, like we mentioned earlier, as we've gotten some of the more recent things, even some of the findings that we had through our Great Place to Work 2021 results, right? That, we know some facts now that we did not know before. So, and our employees understand more of areas that they never had to use before. So for instance, like 95% of our employees now know what to do when they have health concerns. They now know what to do when there's mental health and or other types of, needs, not only professionally, but also personally. 96% of our folks say they feel just as connected and sometimes even more connected than they were prior to, during the pandemic, prior to before. 99% said the organization has done a great job in keeping people informed and being more transparent and being more candid and open. And even with our recent results from an engagement perspective, again, it's not a great place to work, but it marries very closely. And I can't reinforce how much those two are intertwined. We've had significant increases even during the pandemic period. So where all 11 categories have had major increases compared to what we were 2019 pre-pandemic. So I think the numbers and the data reflects the results and just shows that we have continued to maintain that momentum.
Yeah, those are fantastic results, right? I like what you said, especially 96% of your employees, they feel connected with their teams during the pandemic. And that is very, very important, which goes to show that you did not really rest on your laurels. Like your story shows that creating a great employee experience, it is a continuous journey. And so it is no surprise that early this year in January, Ingram Micro was once again Great Place to Work certified. Your commitment, perseverance, and hard work paid off with a remarkable 13% improvement from your 2019 survey results. And that means that 9 in every 10 Ingram Micro employees say that taking everything into account, Ingram Micro is a great place to work, right? Yes. And in March this year, Ingram Micro is named as one of the top 10 Philippines best workplaces in 2021. And yeah, I love your Greatness Continues campaign, from Step into Greatness, and now you have Greatness Continues. Sam, what does this mean for Ingram Micro? What does this mean to you and to your employees?
Yeah, again, that was another very emotional and very happy conversation and a phone call that I was happy to receive. So, but being recognized as Great Place to Work and Best Workplace in Philippines for 2 consecutive years, that just blew us away. And again, while we're very confident in what we're doing, and we're very we support the strategies that we're putting in place here. Again, to get that external recognition and that kind of gold seal of approval, from a global perspective is also really good. I just say it is a true testament to our employees, our leaders, and their passion, their hard work that has gone into creating a high trust, inclusive culture that is what makes Ingram Micro. We're proud of our Ingram Micro team, and we openly embrace our core values, our tenets of success, and we feel that makes us a great place to work. And again, even more meaningful that we were able to do it again during a global pandemic. I think that also just spoke very highly for us, and we don't take it for granted that our employees feel this way, and we want to continue making our associates feel that it's a great place to work year after year.
Personally, I'm so proud of Ingram Micro and what you and your team have accomplished, Sam. It was heartwarming a moment to see Ingram Micro, your associates cheer during that virtual Philippines Best Workplaces event, cheering on the chat. It was really fun. So again, congratulations to you and Ingram Micro family for making it in Philippines Best Workplaces list for 2 consecutive years.
Thank you.
So hearing your story, okay. So it started even prior to you being part of Ingram Micro. You did your research, crafted your people's strategy, what you feel is important, what you believe is important, having done your research, and then you've had your I am engaged people strategy. It is a long journey, honestly, right? Like, it's not easy to get where you are now.
A lot of work that goes into that, yes.
Yep. A lot more than 1 hour of talking about it and showing it in that one slide with your roadmap. So you started with clearly defined and exciting people strategy. You were right on track, and then the pandemic happened, and still you managed to improve your employee experience and got very great results. Looking back, is it all worth it? What are the benefits that you enjoy for going through all that?
Yeah, so is it worth it? Definitely. And again, it was a lot of work, and I don't want to make light of that. And for organizations that want to go for this recognition and this certification, it's definitely worth it in the end, but just be prepared. It takes a lot to get there. And I don't want to understate that. And some people ask me, how do you know when you're ready? And for me, it was just, we were seeing so many things that were coming out from our associates. And there was a lot of gut feeling in this as well, that I think we're ready for this. And, when it comes to some of the benefits, again, we see it in the voices of our associates, we see it in their faces, but also other things that we've seen measurable improvements on is just attracting talent. So when we launched, and I would say both times, we had nearly 30 to 40% increase in the number of people that were coming to us looking for jobs. Even when our attrition was extremely low and we didn't have a lot of openings, we were having people say, can you put us on your wait list? We wanted to join a best workplace or a great place to work organization. It was clearly recognized. I have talked many times with our talent acquisition team who say that almost every single candidate brings up the fact that we're a great place to work and best workplace, which was an attraction for them to want to apply for jobs in our organization. And even with our specialty or niche level roles, we're seeing that we're getting a higher level of talent and experience of people that are coming in. In reference to our engagement results, 85% of our associates recognize us as some level of great place to work, even from an internal perspective. And our sustainable engagement factors that we measure are at 93%, which has increased over our 2019 results. And our retention is definitely showing as part of this. So our employee retention has greatly increased due to our results both in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, it's not easy, but those are really impressive accomplishments that you have there. And one thing I like about Ingram Micro's story when we were creating this roadmap and case studies, that it is a nice success story because it is authentic, it is real, right? Like with the pandemic happening and you guys working on this over number of years, and you yourself hearing it from you that yeah, it's not that easy. It took a lot of work to get there, but yes, it is definitely worth it. So I like how authentic that is. And so creating a great workplace, as we've said, is a journey. And you have been an integral part in Ingram Micro's journey. What are your key learnings, as a HR professional, and what advice would you give to other leaders who also aspire to create a strong employer brand and to be Great Place to Work certified?
Yeah, I think that, with the accolades and the achievements, there's also room for opportunity to improve in how we're looking at our engagement drivers, as we're looking at our programs and how we do as an organization. I think one of the things, we're putting more and more focus on certain critical initiatives that we've mapped out for the next few years. We're refocusing on how we're looking at automation and our digital transformation journey, different facets of HR and human resource or human capital strategy, continue to improve, even though we can always do better when it comes to retention. And I think the other thing is we just want to focus, there's a lot more focus on our talent strategy. We want to make sure that we're building talent for the future of work, because whether it's the pandemic issues, the new work environment, or just the automation age, which is coming at us faster than we can track, we want to make sure that we're acquiring, developing, and retaining key talent in our organization, and making sure that we are accelerating our capabilities when it comes to automation, such as RPA and artificial intelligence, and making sure that we're preparing our talent and building our talent for the future.
That sounds like you really have a clear plan in place of how you're going to sustain everything you've accomplished and create an even better workplace. So a lot of work there, but I really admire like that clarity that you have on where you're going to bring the organization and your people strategies to bring it even, better workplace experience for your employees. We do have this quote from you, and I like what you said. Creating a workplace worthy of Great Place to Work recognition is an unceasing journey and long-term commitment. It is a commitment to always deliver greatness in everything that we do. I like that.
Thank you.
So that's the end of my questions, but I have a couple from the audience.
Sure.
I think you've covered some of the responses to this question, but maybe you have something else to share. How do you keep employees engaged in the midst of the pandemic?
So can you just repeat the question one more time?
How do you keep your employees engaged in the midst of the pandemic?
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned some of those, but just to kind of repeat a couple of those and emphasize maybe some of the ones I didn't talk about more. So number one, communication. So we're a lot more transparent, we're a lot more open. We're doing a lot better job of making sure that our associates are aligned and aware of what our business strategy and our vision are for the next 1, 2, 3 years down the road. We have done a lot of work to make sure that we can attract and onboard talent even in a virtual environment, and we're continuing to invest in our HRIS platform to make it even more virtual and to have some technology and automation that will help kind of speed that up. We're also working with new tools, when it comes to all of the issues about signatures and, trading documents and materials, making that more web-based and more automated. The other thing is that we've not really kind of declined or decreased our presence with our associates. In fact, we probably have increased it, through our engagement activities, our events. We have done a significant amount of work in health and wellness, mental health, social health. We implemented a new and improved employee assistance program which I think is great, because our EAP or employee assistance program not only addresses just mental health, but professional health, social health, mental health, physical health. It's a full encompassing, wellness program. And not only is it for our employees, they're allowed to use it for anybody in their home. So if they have roommates that they're not getting along with, if they have parents, if they have siblings that are having financial issues or addiction issues or just stress, right? So we have programs like that now that all of our employees and their families and their household members can use. And I think some of our campaigns through social media is also very important to mention, whether it's our Step into Greatness or now our 2021 version, which is Greatness Continues, making sure we're highlighting the greatness of our employees and every aspect of their employee life cycle.
Those are great things. Thanks for sharing, Sam. You mentioned about mental health, employee well-being, and a while ago we spoke about importance of trust, especially now in the virtual world that we operate in. There's one question that was given to us even prior to this session. It was emailed to us, and it's around there, around how leaders treat their employees while working virtually. And some employees, and this is a fact, not everyone are blessed to have managers who can be caring and understanding. There are some people who feel like they're being harassed or, probably given the challenges that they're also facing, personal and work, it challenges them, right? It's difficult for them mentally and psychologically. What advice would you give, as a leader now, as a people manager yourself, to leaders who are on the call to help build that, that mental support or emotional support for their employees? So that's my first question. Second question around that too is, if you are an employee, if there's an employee here who's facing that kind of difficulty and challenges, not having the kind of support that leaders should be giving or organizations should be providing them, what advice would you give to that employee?
Okay, so I think, so number one, the first part of the question. So I think that I go back to one of the things that we realized as part of this process is the level of trust that our employees had to us as a result of the trust index. But then when the pandemic hit, the level of trust that we ended up having for our employees. And I think that most leaders probably have this. And I always am very careful to say sometimes the smaller sample of the bigger population sometimes ruins the perception, because I do think that most leaders have this innate ability to take care of their employees, to engage, to keep the communication open, and to do things for the wellness of the people that report to them. I think sometimes leaders get a bad rap, and frontline leaders, et cetera, because you typically hear about issues where maybe issues are only about 5% of the problem. 95% are actually doing pretty well.
It gets magnified. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that number one, you just have to show that respect and that trust. It's a two-way street, and that leaders now have to be, especially in these type of remote environments, they have to be extra aware and sensitive to making sure the channels of communication stay open. And communication doesn't always look and feel the same for every single person. As individuals, we're all different and unique. So you have to customize that style. Is it a text message? Is it an email? Is it a face-to-face, camera situation? So customize that approach based upon the people in your team and vary it from time to time. And for the employees that are not feeling that support, one of the things I will always say to people when I hear of these things is, have you talked to your leader about it?
That's
and
true.
So many employees keep it inside because they're either afraid or they don't want to cause attention. So be courageous is what I say. Be courageous, be strong, and be bold. Have the conversation. And if you feel, and I would say probably 80-90% of the time, having the conversation will resolve it. But in those 10 or 20% of the chances that it doesn't resolve it, then you have protocols, and probably in your company, just like in ours, where you can go to another leader or go to human resources. And in extreme cases, have, ethics lines and things that when things are too extreme. So where someone is feeling discriminated or harassed or things like that, which again, is a very small percentage. But again, keep the communication channels, be courageous, have the dialogue. Most of it can be solved with a simple conversation.
Thanks, Sam. You're right. It's really a two-way road, right? It's not just leaders, but also employees reaching out. Sam, we are top of the hour, but there's just one last question. There are a couple more questions coming in, just one last question. And because I want to ask this, because this is really the topic that we have for this webinar series. Sam, why do you think employer branding remains critical during this time of pandemic?
I think that, in general, it is important, especially in our situation where we don't have, the physical presence. Everything is right now virtual. We're spread out all across the Philippines as a company right now. That brand and that brand recognition, the brand promise, it evokes pride in our people, right? So there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of connectedness, and it tells the story of who we are as an organization, who we are to each other, and who we are in this industry. And I think that brand is so important, which is why you see us on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram highlighting that brand and making sure that people, and again, it's just as much for our internal employees as it is for the ones who may want to join us. And I think it's a critical element.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you once again for joining us. And thank you for everything that you do, not only for Ingram Micro, but for the Filipino community, like 15 years of your career spent there in the Philippines. Thank you for that. I'm personally grateful that we get to advance our mission of creating great places to work with you and with Ingram Micro. So for those who are wondering how to get your company Great Place to Work certified, you can join us in our Great Place to Work certified webinar on June 26th. You can scan the QR code or to visit our website to register. And as you know that this employer branding is very important. And it's actually, Sam, we started doing this employer branding campaign because of the feedback that we are getting from people, not only for clients, but it's just people messaging us, telling us to talk more about employer branding. So we've provided this resource available in our website. So a copy of this webinar will be posted on the website, and also a copy of that case study roadmap of Ingram Micro will be available there along with other resources. So do visit our website. In addition to that, starting, I think, 9th of June, we are also going to have a video podcast about employer branding. So learn how you can elevate your employer brand from the inside out. Hear it from other Great Place to Work certified companies like AMZ, All-Stars, Canva, Western Union, and a lot more others. It's starting this week, June 9th, every Wednesday. This video podcast with our sales manager, Carissa, will be available for you to watch as well. It's a short 10-minute clip, but a lot for you to learn. And of course, for Great Place to Work certified companies like Ingram Micro and other Great Place to Work certified companies in the Philippines, it's Certification Nation Day on June 22nd. We invite you to celebrate with us globally, along with thousands of Great Place to Work certified companies on that day. If you are not aware of this, or if you have other questions, please reach out to Lufer and Cyrus. But with that, Sam, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and I've enjoyed it. And a good day to everyone.
And thank you everyone for your time as well. Take care and stay safe. Bye.